Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are so excited to have our next guest joining us, Wolfe Schacter, joining us here. She's a craniosacral therapist. She has her own company called Scilla Craniosacral. And by the way, if you want to reach out to her, I'm going to urge you right to go to that website. So BLUESCILLACST.com. And we're going to talk about the work she does here with craniosacral therapy for children, adults, and even babies. Welcome to the show today, Lisa. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Excited to
I'm
have you
excited to be
here
here.
and would love to learn more. I know you're based out of Austin, Texas right now, correct?
Correct.
And for those, just the big topic, people might even say, hey, what is craniosacral therapy? Could you tell us what it is that you do specifically?
Of course. Yeah. Craniosacral therapy is a light touch form of manual therapy, so it's hands-on. Um, it is a facilitator to help find and facilitate the release of restrictions throughout the body system. A lot of people think it's just a head massage. It is not. It is a full body form of body work.
Awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about, what you do as a certified craniosacral therapist. And before we get into that, I want to know your backstory, if you don't mind sharing with us. Where are you from originally? And then, talk to us a little bit about how you got into this field, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in the Detroit area. I'm Midwesterner all the way. And I started my adult life as an educator. I taught in elementary schools for about 15 years in different capacities. And I throughout that time I was also doing massage on the side. And I didn't really feel like that was getting to the root of people's problems. When my sister had children, one of her children was born via vacuum extraction. And that was really tough on him. And after birth, he received some craniosacral sessions and it improved his life so much. And then her second born was born very quickly, and that caused its own set of problems. And they also received craniosacral therapy. And so it planted this little seed in my mind. Um, and then when I had my own child, he was having trouble breastfeeding. He had a tongue and lip tie, and he was like deemed to have colic, which was just kind of, we don't know what's wrong with him. He's just really fussy. So I remembered this craniosacral therapy modality, and I was thinking, I should bring him to a craniosacral therapist. And when
Mm-hmm.
I was there with him, just the change was so profound. I thought, like, I should be doing this. I don't know why I'm not already doing this. And so
Yeah.
I got trained, and I really felt like once I started training in craniosacral therapy that this was my where I belong. This was my home. And I fully transitioned to only practicing craniosacral therapy.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, how many kids do you have?
Well, I have two at home. I have my son, and I have a daughter who we are fostering right now, but we are working on adopting, and we're very excited.
Oh, God bless you. That is amazing. And what are the age ranges?
7 and 3.5.
Beautiful. Congrats. I
Yeah.
have a 7 and 9, two little boys, but
Oh,
God bless you. And I know you're so passionate about helping mothers, moms to be especially, and children, of course, who
absolutely.
experience this type of traumatized, birth. So thank you for talking to us today about this. And you also mentioned in your notes it was about your nephew, right? Who could you share what
Hmm.
happened to him during the
Yeah. So
birth
I
process?
yeah. So I mentioned a little bit just previously, but he got stuck in when he was being born, and this happens
Oh,
sometimes
that's the
where.
vacuum extraction. I was confused
Hmm.
with that. Okay, okay. I know it was the same
Yeah.
story. Okay. So
Yeah.
what happens sometimes in childbirth?
So and sometimes I mean, first of all, childbirth is is beautiful and amazing and also traumatic, even in the most ideal circumstances. It's a big event
Yeah.
for everybody involved. And but sometimes it doesn't go according to plan. And in my nephew's case, he got stuck in the birth canal. We think his shoulder was stuck up under the pubic bone,
Oh,
and he needed some assistance in coming out. And so, one of the options that is available is vacuum assisted um, delivery, where they put a it's literally a vacuum that they attach to the top of the head, and it
wow.
helps create more suction and movement out. And it's a life-saving technique, and it also can cause some tension in the brain and in the membranes and in the bones themselves of the newborn. And
Wow.
if you like, you can see here, this is a newborn skull.
Yeah,
You can see all this in between the bone. This is all soft tissue here.
got it.
And so when you
Is that when
have
they say the soft spot, Lisa? Where's the where
exactly,
that?
yeah,
Oh, there
that's
it
the
is.
soft spot. And
Oh
there
my
are also
gosh.
several more soft spots that people don't often talk about on infant skulls. And so when they attach the vacuum, it's usually about right here. And they sometimes it varies based on the position of the head. And when they vacuum out the the baby, there's a lot of pressure on that head because it's
Yeah.
being pulled by one of these bones, and all of this membrane can get pulled in all these different directions. And so craniosacral therapy can help the body to release that restriction, release that tension, release that the the neurological strain, the
Hmm.
nervous system strain, all of that. It's beautiful work,
Well,
really.
I want to, get more specific in just a moment about, the work that you're doing, but could I also just ask you just a little about your education, and, what type of certifications does it take to become? And I mean, I know you have your master's degree as well, but that's in
Mhm.
education, right? Could you just share a little bit
Correct.
of that background so people know your certification and your qualifications?
Yeah. So with craniosacral therapy, the I learned through upledger craniosacral therapy. There are different schools of
Mm-hmm.
craniosacral therapy. So my specific form of craniosacral therapy is upledger craniosacral therapy, and
Okay.
for that you need to have a license to touch. You have to follow your licensure into as to what you can do in that modality. But once you have that license, and I personally had a massage license. I was a licensed massage therapist
Mm-hmm.
in both the states of Michigan and in Texas. Um, then you can get trained in this modality. And I'm at this point over 500 hours of training. I'm a in upledger specific
Wow.
craniosacral therapy, and I've delved into different specific techniques of craniosacral therapy, like infants, pediatrics, infants who've come out of the NICU or have special circumstances. There's also brain work. There are so many things that can be learned in this modality. It's very exciting. Um, and I also went through training as a presenter for the Upledger Institute, so I can present
Okay.
on this work and help introduce it to new therapists or even to families who want to just do some things on their own families at home. And then I went and got certified through the Upledger Institute, um, which is I'm technique certified. So I went through a series of training and practicing, studying. I wrote probably about a 40-page essay and did a practical exam and a written exam in order for them to say, you know what you're talking about, and we can say that you're a certified craniosacral therapist.
Thank you so much for sharing all this. Well, let's also get started. Now, you are based out of Austin, Texas, correct? I'm
Correct.
assuming most of this is in-person work.
Yeah, most of it is in-person work. The presenting I do sometimes do online,
Okay.
and every once in a while I do have a virtual session with someone because there is a somato emotional component to this work as well. Because when you somato meaning body, and when
Okay.
you have injuries or illnesses or just emotional events, they can house somewhere in your body. And this work can help to release that and relieve symptoms that are happening because of that.
Got it. Well, thank you for sharing. Also, at this time, I just want to remind everyone how we can contact you again. Please, Lisa, share the website, any phone number or social media pages.
Yep. On Instagram, you can find me at Blue Scilla, Scillacst, or I'm sorry, at Blue Scilla Craniosacral
It's okay.
on Instagram. My website is bluescillacst.com. Um, and you can fill out an information form on there if you want to reach
Right.
out, if you would like me to have a conversation with you.
Beautiful. And I know there's all different types of services. And I know you want to talk about some of them in particular today that you do offer. I was reading about the craniosacral therapy, the one, the two. There's also the therapy for conceptions, pregnancy and birthing. There's somato motion release. I also saw red light therapy on your website. So what did you want to kind of enlighten us with next? Thank you.
Yeah, I love working. First of all, I work across the lifespan, so I work with anybody like day of birth all the way through life. This modality is so gentle that it is appropriate for all populations. My heart is in the perinatal space,
Got
which
it.
is anything from conception
Yeah.
all the way through pregnancy and into infancy. That is really where my heart lies in this work. But I also really love the littles. A lot of therapists have a challenge with that because they move. They're a moving target. They don't just lay on a table. But I love it because we involve play and I can really help in ways that others haven't been able to.
Got it. Well, also, let's talk a little bit about. I'm on the website and I'm perusing it again for the services offered. So the newborn craniosacral therapy we've talked about. There's infant and child, even for adults. What are some
Mhm.
of the things that people can benefit from as an adult? And how do you know just before they come to you, are they supposed to, do they go to their doctor first? Are they experiencing what type of symptoms are they experiencing to know that they need this type of service in a sense?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, People come in for all different sorts of reasons. Some people come in because they have symptoms and they have tried everything and they have been everywhere and they just cannot relieve these symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
And so they come to me and we're able to get a little more in depth into the root of what's causing these symptoms. Um, and some people come in because someone says, "Hey, I think you have TMJ. I think craniosacral would be a great therapy for you. You should go check it out." There's a huge range of why people come in. I also have a lot of parents come in after their babies are born because it helps kind of integrate the whole unit.
Speaking of, I hit the wrong button. I love hearing, here's someone, for example, talking about how you treated, there's a testimonial page on our website, and I want to hear some of the stories, but let me just give you some, compliments here because this woman is calling you amazing. You treated her son for torticollis. What is that specifically?
Yeah, torticollis can happen in really any age, but it's diagnosed in infancy where there's a strain in the neck where the head gets kind
Ah,
of this position where it's turned to the side and also a little bit up.
okay.
Um, and it can cause a lot of problems other than just neck tension, because then they can end up getting a flattened part of their head called plagiocephaly, which is the side of the head that gets a little flattened. Um, and then that can cause its own set of problems.
Wow.
So with torticollis, it's what craniosacral can really help with is to help relieve the restrictions that are causing everything to tighten up over there. Because what we work with in craniosacral therapy is a lot is fascia, and fascia is the connective tissue in our body.
Mm-hmm.
And the connective tissue works a lot like cloth. So if you snag it somewhere, it's going to pull in all these different directions towards that snag. I might not feel it exactly at that snag, but I'm feeling it over here and I'm
Got it.
feeling it in my back. And so we can help to kind of release that snag little by little to allow everything to come back to where it is more functional and more comfortable.
Beautiful. Well, she was also saying he was 5 months old, right? So he was already in a helmet until they learned about craniosacral therapy, and really wish they learned about it sooner. They said that you, Lisa, your treatments not only sped up the process of when he was projected to go out of the helmet, but his feeding got better, and so did his sleep. If you are on the fence about whether or not you should take your infant to her, do it. We love you. That's from Amy C. Here's another mom, Becca K, talking about you, and you're an amazing person to work with. You worked on her middle son, who was about 7 at the time, to help him with anxiety and emotions. He looked forward to her sessions as I did, and they really helped to calm and ground him, which made dealing with his daily anxiety that much easier. Tell me how you this affects anxiety. I didn't know this part.
Yeah, so uh, the body is really smart. And when we have some kind of restriction going on, some kind of change, it affects the body in different ways to tell us, like, hey, something's not right here. So with craniosacral therapy, um, and specifically, I can talk about, you know, one case in particular, someone came in and their child was having nightmares and they couldn't get them to stop having these nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
And their doctor actually recommended craniosacral therapy. And inside the head is a membrane system that separates the two hemispheres of the brain. There are some very important glands that are protected by it, and it can get congested in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so with craniosacral therapy, you can kind of help stretch that out and create more space and allow the brain
Yep.
to do its job better, to clean better when it's sleeping, to do all of these things that our bodies are meant to do. And really, craniosacral therapy, as I mentioned earlier, is the facilitator. Bodies are so smart. They really just need a facilitator to say, hey, there's something going on here. Did you know that? And
Mm-hmm.
did you know that it doesn't have to be that way? And the body does the rest of the work. It's really beautiful.
Ah, beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. And then let me just tell you one more. They're talking about Renee says, so you're a very compassionate, warm person. I can get that from just talking to her as well. And it's a joy to be your client. She takes her time, really thoughtful, gives great input on things I could do to help my body, and is a wonderful craniosacral therapist. I have a full body high after a session with her. Highly recommend. So Renee's an adult. If you don't want to use her example, if you want to be too personal, but what were you working on with her, or what other things with adults do you most likely work on?
Yeah, and with adults and with anybody, it varies because I meet the person where they're at, and what they need that day might be different from what they need the next day that
Mm-hmm.
they come in. But with adults, sometimes it's very structural. There are things that need to release in order for them to move better. Maybe their hips are misaligned and there's a pull somewhere in their upper body that is contributing to that hip misalignment. So we'll
Yeah.
work specifically on that. But with some people, it's deeper and they get on the table and I am pulled to an area and I might ask them like, what is the something significant here for you?
Mm-hmm.
And they something from their childhood might come up. And they might go through an entire story of what happened in that when they were 5 years old and now they're maybe 55,
Wow.
and this can help relieve some restriction in there and they walk out feeling lighter and a bit changed.
Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that. And what else in particular did you want to share for today? I'm still going through your notes, and there's a lot here. Did you want to? I'm not sure where you wanted to go next, but the ethics and action you talk about, teacher's assistant, what medallion member? Again, you're part of the Worldwide Women's Association. There's a lot. Level 4 Reiki practitioner too, licensed massage therapist. You have a lot. You have wear many hats. My goodness.
I love information. I love learning, and I love teaching as well. And since I left teaching formally in elementary schools, I kind of get that teacher high through assisting in these craniosacral classes with the Upledger Institute, being a teaching assistant there. I actually just finished a course TAing for a course this past week in Houston. And then I also do present on this work and help train people who are interested in learning more about craniosacral therapy, either in their homes or how it can work with their modality that they're already doing, or how it can help their patient population to send them to me.
Oh my goodness. So let me ask you, hold on. Can I ask you about Reiki?
Sure,
Um,
sure.
you're a practitioner, and some people may not even know this energy healing modality, but are you also using Reiki while you're doing the craniosacral, or it's two separate things where you're able to book two different sessions?
Yeah, it's really so how I use Reiki is it really helped me get in tune with the energy piece
Got it.
of the modality. And so energy is sometimes a word that scares people when you
Yeah.
bring up energy, especially in like, people have different spiritual ideas of what that means. And
Mm-hmm.
really what I mean by energy is anytime you're exchanging anything between two people, there is an energy exchange there. Everything in this world vibrates at a certain frequency, and people do as well, along with all of our organs and bones and everything. So that's really what I'm talking about with energy. And what Reiki did was really help me tune into that energy a lot better and a lot more specifically. But in craniosacral therapy, um, I am I am a hands-on, I am tuned in to the body the whole time. With Reiki, it can be sometimes hands-off, and we're like tuning into the energy that's kind of surrounding the body. So there are
Interesting.
two different modalities, but Reiki really helped me to just connect a little bit on a different, deeper level.
Wow. All right. Well, also, let's remind everyone how we can find you. Would you mind sharing again all the forms of contact?
Absolutely. You can find me on Instagram at Blue Scilla Craniosacral. You can find me on the internet, Blue Scilla, SCILLACST.com. And all my information is there as well if you'd like to email me or even give me a call.
Perfect. And you can request an appointment right online. And I want to ask you, I saw earlier about red light therapy on your website as well. Would you mind talking to us about that? I've recently just heard about this, and supposedly it's good for like so many things.
Yeah,
Eyesight, growing hair. Tell me about what is red light therapy?
yeah, it is very good for so many things. And red light therapy is sort of just a different way to get into and calm that nervous system down a little bit. It can help with reducing inflammation. It can help with lowering that reticular activating system when you get heightened, when you get stressed out. Um, and it has just so many benefits. So, and in full transparency, red light therapy is a new modality for me and a new therapy for me, and I'm finding really amazing results with it, and in pairing it with craniosacral therapy and with the other modalities that I do. So, I'm really, really enjoying adding the red light therapy to my practice.
And what is, I also read on the site, the AO scan technology. What is that?
Yeah, AO scan technology. When I was talking about those frequencies that all of our
Mm-hmm.
organs vibrate at, AO scan technology kind of tunes into that and creates a set of tones. It's
Okay.
often very soothing music, and that will help get those frequency back to where they should be in your body. And it's really directed to you. So there's a 10-second clip of your voice, and it'll generate these specific tones that are specific to you, and you listen to them several times, and then
Ooh.
you're ready for a new set of tones.
Oh my goodness. This is exciting. I love it. I love it. And I just love that you're compassionate as a mom, and as a teacher. And clearly you've been given the gift of love, and you love helping others and caring for others, right? Can I just
Yeah,
ask a personal question? How do you get your
sure.
self-care and self-love?
That is a good question. There, there is a an upledger instructor who says that the best gift you can give to your clients is a well-integrated therapist. And so it is really important for therapists to get their own work done. And I do. I go to other craniosacral therapists. I get my own work done when I feel like I need to. And my biggest high is listening to my children laugh. And so
Oh,
I try to make time for that on a daily basis as well. And that really renews my soul.
beautiful. And you're also helping those with, traumatic injuries, right? The craniosacral therapists are someone with serious ailments as well. Could you share just a little bit about that?
Mhm. Yeah. So I can even share from a personal story that I went through a traumatic incident, and my first daughter died during delivery. And it was really terrible. It was really heartbreaking. And I just felt like a broken person. And I couldn't connect. I felt like I was not able to connect to the humanity anymore. And um, I went and saw a craniosacral therapy therapist and had several sessions of craniosacral therapy. And I really feel like it brought me back. It was able to help me connect back into my body to release these like big traumas so that I can talk to you about it without breaking down into like an emotional, sloppy mess. Um, and it's still there. It still hurts, but it's not something that I have to break over every time I bring it up. And it's so profound. This work goes in so many different directions and can be so profound for so many people.
Thank you. And my heart is with you as a mom. God bless you. And thank you for being so open and sharing that. I know it can't be easy, but I love that you're here as a mom, as a business owner, helping so many, again, infants, adults, anyone, to, help benefit them as a massage therapist, as a Reiki practitioner, as a craniosacral therapist, as a mom. You wear many hats, Miss Lisa, and I'm excited we got to meet here today. And I want to thank you for your time. If someone does want to reach out to you, would you mind ending us off with your contact information?
Absolutely. You can find me on Instagram at Blue Scilla, Scilla, craniosacral. And my website is bluescilla,
Thank you.
SCILLACST.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Have a great day, Lisa. Looking forward to the next time we get to connect, okay?
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.